It's Wednesday. Welcome again to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here on my channel, GBoo2786. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe right now. We're trying to get more people in the chat, more people in this video. Of course, we got breaking news. If you haven't, just in the last hour or so, they made an announcement in regards to the Breonna Taylor murder, or killing, I should say. And there are no charges that are being brought against these officers that were involved in killing the sister Breonna Taylor. And I'll go over and break down what they did. Indict one officer on in a little bit, but we're gonna just take a little break for a second. We're trying to get more people to come in the chat room. Come on, get on in. We got different people watching on Periscope. We got people on Facebook, on YouTube. Come on in, guys. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get it in. I know you're angry. I know y'all angry. All right. Why don't you hit the chat, hit a comment if you got a question. We'll go over this case in a second. And I'm just waiting to see if we got anybody that wants to talk about it. Hold on, I'm going to get right into it. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome again to channel GBoo2786. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and safe right now. You guys have heard the news, obviously, that Breonna Taylor's death, their grand jury made an announcement earlier this afternoon that no officers will be charged with her death. Only one officer was charged, and he was charged with wanton endangerment for firing into another apartment. That officer was Brett Hankison, who had been fired, was indicted on 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment for allegedly endangering Taylor's neighbors when he fired into the apartment complex. Now, what's interesting about that, especially me being a defense attorney, I being an attorney just in general, the prosecutors, if they wanted to, had any of those neighbors been struck by any of those bullets, they certainly would, and killed. The police officers would certainly have been facing manslaughter charges as a result of that. That officer in particular, because when you fire a gun, I've just been taught as a general rule, you're responsible for every bullet that's fired. You have to give an account for that. And so I don't know if they would have been able to, number one, with Breonna Taylor, if they're just indicting one officer, how they would be able to determine which bullet was the gun fired from and fired upon. And I can imagine even in that case, they're going to have that officer in particular will probably likely have his police officers, his comrades testify on his behalf to make the case for him that they were fired upon. And I'm sure that he certainly would have been exonerated. And it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. But there is no charges right now in the case of the Breonna Taylor incident. And I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the live stream now to see. Hold on a second. We're having some issues, I think, with Facebook because it's showing that there's no. I'm trying to see if there's people on Facebook because I'm seeing they're having some bug issues when I do the streaming. Surprise me if that happens. Okay, so I see some people here. But there is no charges right now in the case. Sorry about the feedback, guys. But I'm just going to read the article here from MSN.com. States that people in Louisville and across the country are unleashing their anger after a Kentucky grand jury on Wednesday indicted one officer for allegedly endangering the neighbors of Breonna Taylor during the police shooting that killed her. The neighboring apartment had 3 people inside, thus the 3 charges against Hankison, said Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. The other officers involved in Taylor's death were not charged. Taylor's family attorney, Ben Crump, tweeted Wednesday, "Nothing for the murder of Breonna Taylor. This is outrageous and offensive. If Brett Hankison's behavior was wanton endangerment to people in neighboring apartments, then it should have been wanton endangerment in Breonna Taylor's apartment too. In fact, it should have been ruled wanton murder," he wrote. On the streets of Louisville, after the sole indictment was announced, some wept, some chanted, and some marched. At this point, guys, I'm done marching. I'm not surprised by this decision, and you guys know that I've talked about this beforehand. And the reason why I was not surprised by this decision, I know, especially being an attorney, being a criminal defense attorney, and having studied criminal defense, criminal procedure, when you are a police officer is executing a warrant, whether it's faulty or not, if they have reason to believe that the warrant is good, they are deemed to be acting in what's called in good faith. Now, I laid out in a previous live stream the situation with Breonna Taylor, the fact that they were looking for a former boyfriend that she had. This boyfriend obviously was no longer there. She had not communicated with him. She had not communicated with him. The boyfriend, in fact, was in police custody at that time already. He was in jail, if I'm not mistaken, on some other charges. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, knowingly admits, and the AG of Kentucky went through that. He knowingly admits that he fired first upon the officers because he fired a warning shot at the police out there because the door was breached. Now, my problem with that, and remember I went over this in the last live stream, was that if the officers did announce themselves, remember this was a no-knock warrant, why then was it changed at the very last minute to a knock and announce? And in particular, we also have to ask the question, why would they do this at late at night? They supposedly knew Miss Taylor was going to be there, which is why they went over there. They said they only expected one person there, but her boyfriend is there with her. Her new boyfriend, Mr. Walker, is there. And also what's interesting is there are no body cameras, no body camera footage, so nobody knows what happened to her. Nobody knows exactly the details of whether the police officers are telling the truth or not. There's also this one neighbor, independent neighbor who they don't name, which, they're not required to name, but still there's one witness saying he heard the officers announce themselves. Yet when you read the report, there are other people, including the person who was alive at that time, Mr. Walker, and other neighbors saying that the officers did not announce themselves. So this one witness who we don't know, they don't name, I don't know if this person is going to testify or what, they supposedly heard the police officers. And I'm wondering, though, who would be up late at night that they could hear the officers outside announce themselves, but yet other neighbors cannot hear the police officers announce themselves. They didn't hear it. So the question is, who is telling the truth? The ACLU released a statement in Kentucky calling this the latest miscarriage of justice in our nation's long history of denying that Black lives matter. We join the Taylor family and the community in protesting and mourning the Commonwealth's choice to deny justice for Breonna, the ACLU said in a statement. Breonna Taylor was killed when plainclothes officers used a no-knock warrant to enter her home in the middle of the night. They did not even perform life-saving measures as she took her last breaths after they shot her 5 times. Throughout this tragic series of events, including today, the police and prosecutors continuously have failed Breonna Taylor, her family, and Black Kentuckians. Well, they have failed Black people in general. Now, I have, just as an attorney, knew that getting a murder charge on these officers was going to be a very far stretch, because with murder, you have to have what's called the intent element. And I've broke this down for you previously. You have to have what's called mens rea and actus rea. Actus rea means the act, and mens rea means the intent. Did they go in there with the intent to kill Breonna Taylor? Or at that moment to use force that they knowingly knew would put that person in reasonable danger? Now, Mr. Walker had every right, if he did not hear the police officers announce themselves, to defend themselves, because he believed that this apartment where he's with his girlfriend and trying to protect her and himself was being broken into. So he decides to arm himself, and he fired a warning shot, striking one officer in the leg. Now, Mr. Walker what's interesting is that he was arrested for shooting upon the police, but that charge, of course, was dropped later on because they knew they did wrong by entering that apartment. And the prosecutors just did not, they moved to dismiss it, what's called no prox. They chose no prosecution, but they did it without prejudice. And the judge in that case is Judge Olu Stevens. Now, I told you, Judge Olu Stevens, I showed a picture of him. Olu Stevens is a writer. Judge Olu Stevens was the one that dismissed it, and he's the one that's known basically for doing judicial activism, if you want to say. But he was the one that raised the issues in Kentucky about a prosecutor's choice for removing Black jurors from the jury pool. He voiced his objection, and he was actually disciplined by the state bar, by the state judicial committee in Kentucky. Now, I'm going to put a picture of Judge Olu Stevens up. Hold on. I see you, Squeaks. What do you have to say about this Breonna Taylor thing? What question you want to go in? I'm going through it right now, guys. Y'all let me know what you think. But that's Judge Olu Stevens. Personally, guys, this does not surprise me that happened. Why did 6 bullets hit Breonna and only 1 hit the shooter? Very strange. Well, remember this. One cop was hit by 1 bullet. 1 bullet was fired from Mr. Walker. He fired what he said is a warning shot. And Hankison, the other 2 police officers, they opened fire. And one officer we know, I believe he shot 16 times. So it's funny that he wasn't indicted. How did they know? First off, how did they know that his bullets didn't go into the apartment, the other apartments? I'm having a little issue with the computer, guys, right now. Oh, geez. Okay. So, yeah, I'm having an issue. You can see people, of course, crying their eyes out over this thing. You know, a lot of people are upset. I'm not surprised by this decision, though. I wasn't surprised by it because I know how the law works. I know that getting a murder charge would have been bad, would have been a far stretch, and it probably would have landed an acquittal. because you have to have the intent element. It's different from what happened with the George Floyd situation. Obviously, you have someone laying on top of George Floyd's back and neck, which would have been enough to kill him, especially if he's screaming he can't breathe. And other people are knowing this, and yet the officers just did absolutely nothing to fight this. Now, that charge that they hit him with, wanton endangerment. Now, what that means basically is that the officer, it's a Class D felony in Kentucky. And if convicted, each charge holds a possible sentence of up to 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison. Now, five years in prison for each charge. That's why there were 3 people in that apartment across from Breonna Taylor where those bullets struck. Now, Mattingly was the officer who was fired upon.
We've made it the longest lasting, but only you can forge freedom into the chassis.
Sorry about that. I wasn't trying to play this. I hate these ads, but
only you can write the stories it will tell.
Mattingly was the one that was shot by Walker. His bullet struck him in the leg. But a person is guilty of wanton endangerment in the first degree when under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life, he wantonly engages in conduct which creates a substantial danger of death or serious physical injury to another person. Now, the video that I'm about to play, this is from ABC News Live. I want you guys to look at it. Gosh, I hate Dan Abrams, but they're going over these charges, and I believe, I'm not sure. I was trying to see if the Kentucky AG was going to be on here, but I'm going to go ahead and play this so you guys can take a look at it. I can't stand Abrams.
Manslaughter charges. Explain exactly what is wanton endangerment for this one officer, Brett Hankison.
I already explained that to y'all, but
let's first take a step back for a moment. There's a dispute about whether the door was knocked on or not. Police said they did knock on the door. Kenneth Walker saying it didn't happen. And let's also start from the perspective to make it clear, Breonna was innocent here. There's no allegation that she did anything wrong.
Well, I agree with him on that.
The question then becomes, as a legal matter, what is the responsibility of the officer? And you can see from the charge here, which is wanton endangerment, which is not reckless homicide. And the reason I'm comparing it to reckless homicide is because in both cases, you're basically talking about the same legal standard, which is that someone fired recklessly, wantonly, and in the case of homicide, the victim would have been Breonna Taylor. Here, the grand jury is
all right, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what went wrong. My damn computer's been acted up, so I had trouble trying to actually just do this video with y'all.
charges. Explain exactly what is wanton endangerment for this one officer, Brett Hankison.
Right. Well, let's first take a step back for a moment. There's a dispute about whether the door was knocked on or not. Police said they did knock on the door. Kenneth Walker saying it didn't happen. And let's also start.
Let me just do a quick copyright disclaimer. This is being used for news and critique purposes. So just want to make that clear before I get hit with a copyright claim under USC section 107 of the Copyright Fair Use Act. This would qualify as fair use.
From the perspective, cases, you're basically talking about the same legal standard, which is that someone fired recklessly, wantonly, and in the case of homicide, the victim would have been Breonna Taylor. Here, the grand jury is saying the victims that we're charging for are the neighbors. Why? Because it seems that the grand jury believed that regardless of whether this was a good warrant and whether it was a warrant that should have been executed, they had a legal right to be there. And when they were fired upon, they responded. That doesn't mean that that's the answer that it should be, but that is the legal explanation for why there is no charge here with regard to homicide, because it seems clear the grand jurors did not believe that they acted beyond the scope of the warrant, except for Hankinson firing that weapon. And he was already fired for that, using the exact same language, wantonly firing that weapon.
But Dan, explain it, because people are going to say Breonna Taylor, as you mentioned, was just asleep in her apartment. She was with her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, who had a license to carry a gun, according to his attorney. We also know that, according to the no-knock warrant, the postal inspector has said, because it's all tied into an ex-boyfriend that Breonna Taylor had, police were alleging that apartment where she was staying at was allegedly receiving drug shipments. That's all in the no-knock warrant, but according to the postal inspector, they didn't know about this, and they had never signed off on this, or according to the postal inspector, spoke to the Louisville Metro Police Department about this issue. So if there are questions surrounding the actual warrant, we get to the point where Breonna Taylor is shot and killed, people are going to wonder here, how are the only victims in this case the neighbors?
Right, and I think that we need to separate out wrong from criminal. And again, I'm just explaining what the grand jury did here without making judgment on what they did. They clearly believed that it didn't rise to the level of being criminal because they had that legal document, that warrant, which allowed them to be.
Yeah, well, from what you're saying, Squeaky, you said that the cop had a different caliber bullet, but the thing is still, if they fired multiple shots into the house, all of those officers, and Breonna was hit 5 times. If you have one officer firing 10, where did the other bullets go? You have one firing 10. I believe one officer, I was listening to the Attorney General's press conference, and we'll get to him in a second. I think he said one officer entered 16 bullets. So you have to answer for that, for each round that was fired. But we'll go on.
In the house, to arrive at the house. Again, debate about whether they knocked or didn't knock, but no question they had this warrant. Now, looking back at whether that warrant should have been issued at all is a very important question, but that's a separate one from the officers who are now at the house with a legal warrant, and what did they do and when did they do it?
One of the officers, Sergeant John Mattingly, was shot in this incident as well. We do want to mention that. Dan, do we know if the grand jury's work is done? Do we think this is the end of this case right here?
I've got to believe that it is. I've got to believe that this is the indictment, because what a grand jury does not do is make announcements about who they're not indicting. We've seen this in the news a lot lately, James Comey and others who've gotten into trouble for speaking too much about people who were not indicted. So typically when someone isn't indicted, you simply don't discuss it, and the grand jury announces who they are indicting, which makes me think that what happened here is the grand jury evaluated corroborated evidence against all three officers, but in the end, or all four, and in the end decided just to hand up indictments with regard to one.
Dan, you're a legal expert. You've done probably thousands of these cases. From what you read about this case, from knowing this case, and seeing the charges and seeing whatever evidence has been available to the public so far, were you surprised by the charges brought?
Well, look, I expected at least this charge, right? At least this charge, and I'm looking down to make sure that we get the exact correct language to the definition, but it's this wanton endangerment in the first degree charge. Why did I expect that? Because the police department had already fired him for firing wantonly his weapon. So I think that was kind of the base here. The question of whether there would be additional charges, I didn't know what the grand jury was going to do. Look, I know how maddening this must be to people out there who are saying, what about Breonna? What about her? Why doesn't she get justice here? And sometimes the legal system, doesn't work in that kind of linear way, and where the criminal law can necessarily provide justice. We have seen in a civil lawsuit brought by her family that her family has gotten a big settlement, but most importantly, major changes in the police department as a result of that settlement.
That settlement that you talk about, Dan, is not sufficient. Because when we look at it, number one, the police off the city, they had a no liability claim in that settlement. They stated that they are not admitted to any wrongdoing, so that they would not open themselves up to further litigation. Those reforms do not do anything to fix the major issue, which is the issue of white supremacy. That is the problem in this country. W.E.B. Du Bois said the major issue of the 20th century was the color line. I take it a step further. The biggest issue here in the 21st century is white supremacy and racism. The color line is right there. It's all entangled in that. Those reforms do nothing, because we've seen black men get killed on camera, on body cameras that police officers are supposed to have. Then we've seen a lack of transparency with the police departments across this country with regards to shooting, how they'll, make up stories. They'll plant toy guns like they did in Baltimore so they could justify killing a nigger. Didn't you just have an article where cops got busted for doing that in Baltimore a few years ago? How is settlement money going to fix that?
So when the question is, should there have been criminal charges, it gets tricky when the police have the legal right to have been there, even if it was a bad warrant, but if they have a legal right to be there, they're then fired upon. It is tough sometimes to get an indictment with that sort of fact pattern. But again, I want to reiterate, that doesn't change the reality that Breonna was the innocent victim here, whether it's in that indictment or not.
So essentially, the Attorney General's office, the grand jury have basically stated that Breonna Taylor's boyfriend is the one that was responsible.
Lawson, and this is your news update. The remnants of Tropical Storm Beta are moving into Louisiana, but high water is still very much a problem in some parts of Houston. Many people spending this day trying to find their flooded out
Excuse
vehicles,
me for a
especially
second.
if
We
they have
got
to abandon them. If you believe your car was towed, go to.
All right. So this is AG Cookie. I'm sorry, AG Cam.
Mattingly fired 6 shots. Almost simultaneously, Detective Cosgrove, also in the doorway, shot 16 times. This all took place in a matter.
Now look, I want to go back to what he says because he's talking about the bullets and the caliber, and I want to bring it back to something you said. I'm sorry, guys. I'm keep having these issues. Let me go in the back and fix this. Hold on. I'm coming right back. I don't know what's going on with my internet. Those that are on, if you want to donate to the channel, you can do so at the bottom. Leave a contribution on the Cash App. GavinRichardEsq, Google Pay, Gavin.grich1@gmail.com. You can also join in to let me know if you got a comment about this. We're talking about about the developments in the Breonna Taylor case. Now, if you guys noticed too, last week they had issued a emergency declaration for the city of Louisville, mainly because they knew that this was going to happen. The mayor, the police chief, they all knew this was going to happen.
Struck Sergeant Mattingly was fired from a 9mm handgun.
So he's talking about the gun that struck
LMPD
Mattingly.
officers fired 40 caliber handguns.
Now, let me pause it right there, because Squeaky, you said that they said that Hankison fired a different caliber bullet. The Attorney General just contradicted that. He said the officers fired 40 caliber.
Sergeant Mattingly returned fire down the hallway. Mattingly fired 6 shots. Almost simultaneously, Detective Cosgrove, also in the doorway, shot 16 times. This all took place in a matter of seconds. In total, 6 bullets struck Ms. Taylor. Medical evidence obtained by our team indicates that only 1 shot was fatal. Further medical evidence shows that Ms. Taylor would have died from the fatal shot within a few seconds to 2 minutes after being struck.
Okay. I like to see what the MD's reports are and what was the fatal. Sorry about that. What was the fatal shot that was fired? Where did it land? Where obviously it hit vital organs if she died instantly. Was she shot in the head? Was she shot in the heart? All of those things, we don't know that.
Let me state that again. According to Kentucky law, the use of force by Mattingly and Cosgrove was justified to protect themselves. This justification bars us from pursuing criminal charges in Miss Breonna Taylor's death. The truth is now before us. The facts have been examined, and a grand jury comprised of our peers and fellow citizens has made a decision. Justice is not often easy, does not fit the mold of public opinion, and it does not conform to shifting standards. It answers only to the facts and to the law. With this in mind, we must now ask ourselves, where do we go from here?
Breonna Taylor. What do we want? Justice. Make sure we stay behind them. What do we want? Justice.
The House.
No. What do we want? Justice.
All right. These are just some of the videos, guys, that's just been going on. Well, he's not. Well, he's the only one that was there at the time of her of death and what happened. He's the only one that has direct knowledge of what went on outside of the police officers. And there's no body camera footage. Of course, they're gonna always say that the officers are justified because he's executing a warrant. And their defense is, well, in executing that warrant, like I had stated earlier, that they did so in good faith, and that kind of gives them license to be there. Now, the way that they lie, the fact that they, of course, tried to slander Breonna Taylor after she died by trying to get a plea deal. I mean, I think the former boyfriend had a plea deal that was in case that was being given to him, and they wanted him to take the plea deal and admit that Breonna had been an accomplice to that, and that was not the case. I find abhorrent. Of course, they are trying to slander this young woman and her death, and it's not a surprise to me. This is frustrating. And it is dirty. And people, people are around this country are fed up. Now, I've noticed most of these protests that are being done, that we are seeing, are done by these little white kids that are, mostly out there protesting. It's not mostly black people that are doing it. They're the ones that are rioting and looting. And I've told people to be careful and mindful about that because there are agent provocateurs that are behind a lot of that. So this shit is getting real. A lot of people, are understandably upset by it, and I am too. I thought they could have been, but I expected all of this because it's hard for them to, I guess, look at it like this and give a exact charge above the for the law. But it's not a surprise, however, and I do know that if the roles had been reversed without question, this were a black cop that shot a white woman in the middle of her home, he would be out of a job, but not only be out of a job, but he would also be in jail. In fact, you had a black police officer, a Muslim police officer that shot a white woman up there, I think in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, or it was in Minneapolis, and he's a Muslim and he's actually doing time in jail for it. That situation happened. So uh, it's sad all around. I feel for Breonna Taylor, but here's the thing too. When they took that settlement, a lot of people may question and fear, were they taking the devil's money? Because once that settlement is given, I'm gonna give you $12 million, but I'm not gonna get you any justice. So Breonna Taylor's mother has to live with the fact that the men who killed her daughter will not be face judgment or face justice. Anybody got comments or questions, please leave them. We're talking about this breaking news for Breonna Taylor's death. Let me see if I could get somebody on the phone right now with us to join. I'm going to call this brother. Hold on.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 901.
All right, I'm trying to reach out to a friend of mine, friend to the show. I think he's probably busy at the moment, so I wasn't able to get him in. But well, at any rate, yeah, well, at any rate, yeah, the settlement certainly was a way for them to quash and calm any violence, quash the families' chances for asking for justice. I think that because they knew nothing would come from this. Um, I see people that are watching. What's up, D. Riley? What's up, brother? We got 7 people in the watching right now. What's going on, guys? Y'all leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think about this whole situation with Breonna Taylor. It's a tragic thing that's going on. I did want to do. I had some issues with my computer. I wanted to do uh, another topic that I had in here. Of course, I was going to talk about this thing going on between Lord Jamar and DJ Vlad. What did you guys think about it? My personal opinion, just briefly, Vlad is an agent. I think that black people should not be going on his program, his platform. He has made enough money off of the backs of black people, off of the culture and the community. And when he says something negative, especially something not only negative but untrue about Minister Louis Farrakhan, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and whether you like Minister Farrakhan or not, black people sure enough respect him enough to call out those who lie and disrespect him and put words in his mouth for things that he did not say. And Vlad was exposed doing that. And so you look at Vlad's history, for instance. Vlad has basically had everyone from Lord Jamar, Godfrey. He's had on China Mac. He's had Cam. He's had uh, Freeway Ricky Ross. He's had drug dealers. He hasn't just had rappers on there too. Of course, he's had Professor Griff, Dr. Umar Judge, Tariq Nasheed, some of the Judge Jill Brown, people of that nature that have been on his show. And he has had members of the Nation of Islam that have come on there. He's had them on. And so I've noticed, though, he has tried to get a lot of people. If you remember a couple of years ago, he usually mentions things, especially. Oh, no, that's not what I'm just going to put up. Sorry, I got my topic mixed up there. Yeah, well, I know he usually asks questions about your your uh your rappers who had beef. He's had black officers. I'm sorry, black actors, people you've never heard of before in a long time. Like I saw Eddie Griffin and saw his story about how he got involved with Master P, his thoughts on Bill Cosby situation and so forth. And I've noticed when Vlad has people come on there, and of course he's had DL Hughley Lunell, he's had Sinbad, a couple others. He'll always ask him that question about Cosby or Michael Jackson or some things of that nature. And if you remember a few months back, he made some comments about Michael Jackson that people caught and didn't like. Now, Vlad is a millionaire. According to Celebrity Network, he has made over $5 million from Vlad TV. And this is from doing interviews with various people. And this is a Russian Jewish immigrant who made false claims about let me put his picture up, his ugly face, so you can see it. He has made false claims about Minister Farrakhan. And so black people are canceling DJ Vlad. I remember when he had some rappers on. I think we had a little Boosie. He's had a little Boosie on there, but he's also had Soldier Boy on there. And if you remember, there was a sketch that was going around over his interview with Soldier Boy on the internet. And so Lord Jamar, well, I'm reading what Squeaky says, but remember there was an incident like with I think with Boosie with on DJ Vlad's on Vlad's platform over the Soldier Boy thing because a lot of people were talking about doing the Soldier Boy challenge and so forth uh, with regards to his explain events around a home invasion and shooting in 2008. So a lot of people question that. There's also been issues with him uh, misquoting. He's done and said some slick things about different people. He was actually assaulted by rapper Rick Ross' entourage after he covered a story on the rapper's former career as a corrections officer. He filed a $4 million lawsuit, and a New York federal jury awarded him $300,000 in his civil suit, finding Ross liable for setting up Lupnovoy up for the attack at the 2008 Ozone Awards. Lubovny, that's his last name, Lubovny. Vladislav Lubovny. He's a Russian Jewish immigrant from Kyiv, Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. But Vlad wanted, my understanding too, DJ Vlad wanted Squeaky, you're partly right, but he wanted Minister Farrakhan to come on to his platform for all that I have heard. And the minister is not doing any interviews to my knowledge. I've been told that. And I don't think he would have gone on someone like Vlad TV's platform anyway, because Vlad is a snake. And Lord Jamar and Godfrey were low key trying to defend Vlad at one point. because they knew him obviously, and they've been on his show and platform hundreds of times. I've seen them on there, but after he refused to apologize to the minister, and Vlad has doubled down, according to Royce D59, he basically said that they're not going to hurt my money. So, what does that tell you? If he's not going to apologize and he's like, black people cannot hurt my money, it means he thinks nothing of you. So, why is he in your culture? Why is he part of this? I'm not saying that other people from outside the community can't comment and love hip hop or black culture or whatever, but do they love just the culture and hate us? They're not truly down for the cause. Do they stand on the sidelines and they wear the the baggy pants and the jerseys, and they may listen to you know Rick Ross, or we have Kendrick Lamar, whoever, 50 Cent, whoever. I'm just guessing rappers, but they don't care about us and our plight. I just want to make money off of this, and that's what he's done. This is why you need new black media people. This is why you need Gboot 2786. This is why you contribute to black media. I was at the Foundational Black American Conference, and to see those brothers and sisters united, see us come together, was a beautiful sight. That we talked about different issues. So donate to the channels of different black news media and support them. And what's interesting too, when he's talking about what Farrakhan said, and that was based off of an interview he did with D.L. Hughley. And D.L. Hughley, I thought, was wrong in not correcting Vlad at that point. I thought he should have said something when he made something false, or say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, because I don't know what Minister Farrakhan said. But he outright lied and said that the minister was threatening Jewish people. And Brother Risa Islam, who I met at the conference, he has stated that despite even if he apologized, he would not go on DJ Vlad's show. I think the nation is going to boycott his show. The members that go there, they're not going to go. Lord Jamar has said he's not going. Godfrey has said that he's taking a break from it. No, we just need to do more than take a break. Do not go on his platform. That's the only way these people will understand. Refuse interviews from him. So, with that said, I'm gonna play. I guess I don't know if I can play that actual clip, but I wanted to play what Brother Risa Islam said, and Corey Holcomb also has called out Vlad, because he says Vlad makes millions off of black people, which he does, and I believe Corey. Let me just go off this. Corey has said that Vlad. He met Vlad, offered Vlad the opportunity to come on his platform, and Vlad. I'm talking about Corey going on Vlad's platform. He agreed to do it, but Corey asked in return would he come on his show so they could hype up each other's ratings, and Vlad didn't do that. And Vlad is not paying, to my knowledge, any of these people for interviews. I think they're just doing it on their own. And look, he's got over 2 million or 4 million subscribers. So he certainly has made a healthy living just off of Vlad TV on YouTube. I don't know how he spends his money or where he gets it at, but $5 million, his net worth is $5 million. It's more than half of us combined up here. Shit, all of us. But this is Brother Rizza Islam. Shout out to him. And guys, he is tall. Because I met him. He's Malcolm X tall. So hold on. Oh no, I didn't mean what's this damn thing? Sorry guys. Yeah, let me just play this. We're gonna get off in a second. Yeah, if DJ Vlad is salty but pretends outwardly like everything is okay, I think he's a straight up coward. Yeah, he may be salty, but I think he's a coward because he won't apologize for it. And he knows now that his bank is about to get looted.
Okay, check this out. Here we go. Brother Rizza Islam right here. I'm going to say this. DJ Vlad, you are a damnable liar, and you went ahead and you lied on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. See, this is the reason why we say we don't trust you or most of the people like you. White people, you know, we're used to you lying about virtually everything, including our history, including the current, including when you murder us, etc. We're used to white people lying for the majority. We're used to Jewish people for the majority lying as well. Some tell the truth. Sure, there's some white people that tell the truth. Sure, there's some Jewish people that tell the truth. Absolutely. But when it comes to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we are used to you lying. The difference is you had D.L. Hughley on your show this time, and you just released this interview a couple hours ago, where you titled it, the way you titled it, it was very wicked how you did this, where you stated D.L. Hughley speaking on Minister Farrakhan's basically support of harming fake Jews. Listen, first of all, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan never said that we as Muslims should pick up a stone whenever we see a Jewish person. You see how wicked you are with that? He said we should pick up the stone of truth and hurl truth at falsehood wherever we see it. This is the reason why your evil and your wicked nature, DJ Vlad, and I'm very honored that I was never on your show. You had West Coast Cam on your show and FOI in the Nation of Islam. You had Brother Nuri Muhammad and FOI and student minister in the Nation of Islam. You had Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad and FOI, student minister in the Nation of Islam, also on the council. You had a number of members of the Nation of Islam on your show, so you would think you would know better than to lie on us. So the same way the Jewish community does people when they lie on them and they, you know, use that claim of anti-Semitism anytime someone criticizes them or says anything that they don't like, the same way we are, the Nation of Islam, we will hurl truth at falsehood. You will be apologizing. I guarantee that. And not only that, but I have been holding back on dropping part 2 on the relationship between blacks and Jews because I wanted to see who else would keep casting more lies, and you fell right into it. So I'm very thankful again that I was never on your show, and I will never accept an invitation to be on your show. It does not matter how much you do apologize. D.L. Hughley did not see the July 4th address by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You baited him into saying what he said. You baited him by making a generalized statement. And so D.L. Hughley, of course, thought he was in the right to say how he said what he said. He wasn't really speaking against Minister Farrakhan, but the way he said what he was saying was dealing with religious bigotry in general, which, of course, we all agree. Even Minister Farrakhan agrees on that when it comes to dogmatic teaching and the way people speak in a dogmatic way, like, you know, believe what I believe or you're going to hell type of, you know, teaching. So that we understood that, but you baited him. And the world of hip hop has been tolerating you. You are a culture vulture, Mr. Vlad, along with a number of other individuals who are Caucasian, white, Jewish, who continue to use your platform to abuse the small authority that the people have given you. And you make money off of black people. You make money off of hip hop. You make money off of all of these things that have nothing to do with who you are. So again, I'm going to leave it at this. I will be dropping part 2. And it will be exposing a lot of you, a whole lot of you. So I was just waiting for you to cast. I wanted to see who else is going to keep casting and lying, etc. That's all I was doing. I was going to see who else is going to keep lying, who else is going to add more, you know, to this to this pot, because that's what y'all do. So again, I'm not surprised. It's just very sad and sickening to see that in 2020, you have to lie on an 85-year young man who has been doing work for his people and really all people for quite some time. You just can't help but lie on them. It's really sad, it's really sick, but you will be paying for it, meaning you will apologize for it. You will feel the pain of your lies and you will be exposed. Not only DJ Vlad, but all the rest of you who continue to open your damn mouth and lie about Minister Farrakhan, lie about any of our black leaders, lie about us as a people, etc., etc. You're going to understand that it's not going to happen no more. This generation is not going to take it. You ain't going to keep talking and lying on people and saying that we are being taught to harm anyone when we live among the children and the descendants of our slave masters. We haven't rose up, or we have not. We live among white people all the time, all day, every day. And if we haven't decided to wake up and just go and kill all white people, that should let you know our nature. What's going on, bro? That should let you know our nature as a people. Some of you might be very nervous about what I just said, but think about what the hell I just said. We are not naturally that type of people. We are loving, peaceful people, clearly.
Got that right.
I live among the descendants of the slave masters. But I don't have the idea that, man, I want to go ahead and kill all white folks. That's not my mentality. That's not how I think. Just letting you know. I don't think like that. And most black people don't think like that at all. That's how you know we're God's people. We're not that kind of vengeful, devilish. That's not us. So again, we will be dropping part 2. And it will be very painful for those of you who delight in spreading the lies. You feel me? Peace.
All right. So that was Risa Islam on the DJ Vlad situation. And you guys can see a lot of people are pissed off with what he's saying. And yeah, Vlad is an agent. That's just my opinion on it. I think that where he came from, just how quickly he was able to rise up and interview all of these people. He's got gold and platinum subscribe awards for YouTube because he's gotten over 4 million subscribers, well over that amount. And we just keep charging him and bringing him into the community. And, he's interviewed countless black scholars. He's interviewed a lot of black people over the years, and he makes his money off of it. So, at any rate, guys, I've been on for an hour, and this day I get, it's very painful for a lot of people seeing this. I've gotten numb to seeing things like this when it typically happens, just because we just see it all the time. But you guys be safe and be blessed. Sorry about the video problems, but you guys just need to know that we change. This is the time right now for us to get involved, get active. I would encourage you all, and I'm going to be doing a podcast later. I'm not against voting, but if you think voting is what's going to be the end all and be all of solving situations like George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, you are sadly mistaken. I need to address something too later in another video about this "Get Your Booty at the Polls" clip that was going viral yesterday. The Dems have sunk to a new low. We'll check that out later, but you guys be safe and be blessed in the meantime. I'll holla. Please donate to the Cash App, Gavin Richard Esquire, and Google Pay, gavin.grich1@gmail.com. I am your gracious host, Gavin Richard, with Gavin Richard Presents on channel G Boo 2786. I'll holla. Peace.